Hello, what's up guys? Simon from Peso Smart Page here and welcome sa new episode on this Thursday. So, shoutout din sa mga podcast listeners. So, yung topic natin today, so actually tatlo siya. So, MerryMart IPO, NCR lockdown, and yung PSEi. So, basically, ang mga news articles na nakita ko online na I think are worth sharing sa inyo. So, as we all know, lockdown in some certain parts ng Philippines is extended. So, yung article na nabasa ko is from BusinessWorld. It was written, I think, that was yesterday, May 13. So, this one is from Jillian M. Cortez and Janina P. Ibanez. So the government is keeping Metro Manila and two other areas under lockdown until the end of May, although some businesses will be allowed to resume partial operations. Presidential spokesperson Harry L. Roque said the modified enhanced community quarantine will be implemented in the National Capital Region, Laguna Province, and Cebu City from May 16 to 31. In a televised briefing, Mr. Roque admitted the lockdown had a big impact on curbing the number of coronavirus disease 2019 cases but hurt the economy. Well, obviously. Metro Manila continues to be the epicenter of the country's COVID-19 outbreak, accounting for more than half of the over 11,000 cases. As of Tuesday, total deaths from COVID-19 reached 751. Yeah, that is a lot of number, and it's really sad. While confirmed infections stood at 11,350 and recoveries at 2,106. Under a modified ECQ, selected manufacturing and processing plants will be allowed to operate with up to 50% of their workforce. Mr. Roque said the list of specific industries that will be allowed to operate will be released on Wednesday. So, actually, that was yesterday, so I think that was already released. In mid-March, the government placed Luzon, which accounts for over 70% of GDP, under an ECQ that halted nearly all economic activity and domestic consumption. GDP contracted by 0.2% in the first quarter, ending 21 years of uninterrupted growth. The Philippine economy is facing a recession as the second quarter is expected to be worse. In a taped address aired on Tuesday morning, National Task Force COVID-19 Chief Implementer Carlito G. Galvez Jr. said the Philippine economy cannot handle another total lockdown. Well, that would really depend kasi parang pag nagkaroon ng second wave, right? Like, hindi pa talaga na-implement yung mass testing. Like, sobrang konti pa lang din nung natetest sa atin. So, we should like be more careful and like anticipate the worst. So, Finance Secretary Carlos G. Dominguez III stressed that the need to ramp up the Build program to boost domestic consumption and stimulate the economy. Then, in the tape briefing, Mr. Dominguez also proposed the mass hiring of contact tracers to help the government's efforts to curb the local transmission of COVID-19. This after the government reported around 1.2 million to 1.5 million Filipinos lost their jobs temporarily during the ECQ. He said that we need to hire enough contact tracers to match the numbers we expect that will come with more testing. And of course, mass testing now, yun yung kailangan natin. Business groups welcomed the government's move to ease lockdown measures, but said there needs to be improvements in mass testing for COVID-19 virus. Employers Confederation of the Philippines President Sergio R. Ortiz Luis Jr. in a phone interview said the modified lockdown means more people will be able to go to work. But the problem there is I don't know how they will implement. Mr. Ortiz urged the government to be more efficient in issuing passes and ensure transportation for workers. He expressed concern that the restrictions in movement would mean companies will prioritize hiring for workers who live close to or are able to go to the office. So pending further study of the decision and consultation with members, Joint Foreign Chambers of Commerce of the Philippines, Senior Advisor John Forbes said they are ready for more relaxed rules to enable economic recovery to start. But the low level of testing and tracing gives us pause about the risks of ending the lockdown, he said in a mobile message on Tuesday. Trade Secretary Ramon M. Lopez said low risk and high economic impact in terms of jobs will be allowed to operate during the modified ECQ. In a message to reporters, he said these industries include construction and labor-intensive manufacturing services. Alright, let's move on. So of course the PSEi was affected by the lockdown extension, but not really that much. But still, it's a number. So from BusinessWorld ulit yung article, PSE index closes lower on extended quarantine. This was written and published on May 12. So this was by Denise A. Valdez. So she said that the main index closed in red territory yesterday as investor sentiment turned sour on the extension of the lockdown in Metro Manila, Laguna, and Cebu City until the end of the month. So the 30-member PSEi shed 16.26 points rather, or 0.28%. So that's really not that big, but it's still a dip compared to the previous close. So that's at 5651.67 points on Tuesday. The Brother All Shares Index also dropped 11 points or 0.32% to 3415.24. Sellers led the market after the government's announcement on community quarantine in the Philippines. Philsox Financial Incorporated research associate Claire T. LVR said in a text message. And I also checked on that day. Like yung stocks naman na wina-watch ko, like stocks that I'm interested in, hindi naman siya masyado bumagsak or like nagbago. Like yes, kita mo red sila, but it's not really that big of an amount to like say dumami yung interested na bumili, since yun nga biglang bumagsak yung presyo. But yeah, konti lang yung binaba niya. Then the government announced yesterday that quarantine measures in the NCR, Laguna, and Cebu City will stay until the end of the month, while the rest of the country will put under a general community quarantine or no quarantine at all. But unlike previous quarantine measures, the government now introduced a modified enhanced community quarantine, which allows operations of selected manufacturing and processing plants, but only up to 50% workforce capacity. Transporting services for essential goods and services will also be allowed. So this quarantine type is still stricter than a GCQ, which would allow operation of government offices and industries for up to 75% workforce capacity and flexible learning arrangements for students. So, quote here from Ms. Alviar, given that the NCR will be placed under modified enhanced community quarantine, economic recovery would take a longer period of time compared to placing it under GCQ. But still, I think it seems to be the best option for the NCR right now, slowly reopening the economy. For Regina Capital Development Corp Head of Sales Luis A. Limlingan, other factors that affected the local market yesterday were the mixed performance of global equities overnight, pending resumption of construction and recreational businesses in New York, expected reopening of shops and schools in the United Kingdom next month, and steady price of West Texas Intermediate oil at $24.5 per barrel. Then most sectoral indices at the PSE managed to end trading in green territory. Financials picked up 13.10 points or 1.12% to 1173.16. Holding firms added 26.46 points or 0.47%. Industrials gained 33.46 points or 0.44%. Mining and oil grew 19.44 points or 0.42%, and services increased 4.69 points or 0.35%. Property was the only index that lost, giving up 98.05 points or 3.33% to close the trading session at 2839.70. Some 454.17 million issues valued at 5.37 billion pesos switched hands yesterday, slightly lower from Monday's 480.05 million issues worth 4.54 billion pesos. Advancers beat decliners by a point, 87 against 86, while 45 names ended as unchanged. So, maraming stocks na hindi natitrade on a daily basis, and medyo hands-off nga yung karamihan na investors katulad ko. Like, pili lang talaga yung hinahanap ko na stocks today. And actually, yung EEI nag-cancel sila ng dividend payment, so that's really a bummer kasi was able to buy some of their stocks for a good price, but yeah, unfortunately nag-cancel sila ng dividends. It should have been paid, I think, this April and then on September, so both are cancelled na. So I think the company is still a good buy, but hopefully ma-reinstate yung dividends sila after nitong pandemic shit na to. So foreign investors were sellers for the 5th straight day, with net outflows totaling 968.61 million pesos. And then on next topic natin is an IPO alert. So this one is from PanayNews and was published on Monday, May 11. So sabi dito, MerryMart receives IPO Notice of Approval from PSEi. So yung most recent is yung sa frutas. Ayun, medyo highly traded din yung stock na yun kasi bago. And yeah, bumili din ako ng IPO. And I think dito mag-invest din ako. But I haven't actually, ito yung first time kong marinig tong MerryMart. So well, I know what they do essentially, but kailangan natin tingnan yung like books nila and whatever, like history and like ano ba yung mission nila and kung magiging profitable yung business. So we'll see. So the Philippine Stock Exchange on May 6, 2020 released the notice of approval for the initial public offering of MerryMart Consumer Corporation. Pricing is up to 1 peso per share and price will be set by May 22, 2020. The IPO listing is slated on June 15, 2020. So, malapit na rin siya. MerryMart Consumer Corp will proceed with its IPO since MerryMart is in the COVID-19 pandemic resilient non-discretionary basic essential retail category. MerryMart Group currently operates 7 branches. MerryMart has several branches that are ready to open soon, a few weeks after the enhanced community quarantine is lifted, and will keep its target to open the 100th MerryMart branch on or before December 2021 next year. Oh, so 7 pa lang yung open currently, and then by December next year, yung target nila is 100 name branches na nabuksan nila. So yeah, that is a fast-paced timeline on their end, and so may pa nga tong pandemic, so we'll see kung may hit nila yan. We're gonna revisit that next year. MerryMart will be ready to secure more superior prime locations around the country and attract more good talents to join its team after the ECQ is lifted, as there may be a lot of good prime sites to be available nationwide. So yung MerryMart chairman Edgar Injapsia II said, "We are confident that the MerryMart IPO will provide both the retail and institutional investors an opportunity to be able to invest and spread their portfolio in a resilient sector, and also enable them to invest at an early stage of MerryMart's planned hypergrowth in the coming years." So he added, just like Mang Inasal and Double Dragon, our team and myself will pour in the passion, determination, focus, and hard work towards the goal of MerryMart, another company that will grow rapidly and eventually become strong, durable, and relevant for many generations. That's good. Once MerryMart is listed, it is expected to be the second listed retail company that has pure non-discretionary retail in its portfolio. MerryMart Consumer Corp do not have any exposure in the discretionary retail businesses such as the modern department stores, which are closed and do not generate revenues during the ACQ. So MerryMart intends to focus only on non-discretionary essential segment because the discretionary side of retail is expected to be soft moving forward, and higher value and non-essential discretionary retail is also shifting to the foreign-owned e-commerce channels. Then MerryMart's vision is to reach 120 billion pesos in system-wide revenues and 1,200 branches by 2030. So that is in 10 years. Good. Then some worrisome news, quote unquote. So this one is from the Manila Bulletin, published yesterday, May 13. So PSEi sees less IPOs, airs concerns over MerryMart. So discuss natin previously yung mag-IPO na ngayon MerryMart, but yeah, syempre may concerns. That is just normal. So this one is written by James A. Loyola. Sabi niya, except for the coming initial public offering of a supermarket chain, the PSEi does not expect a lot of capital raising or stock listings this year due to the effects of the pandemic and the low interest rate environment. In an online forum, PSEi President Ramon Monson noted that the boards already had problems getting firms to list more shares even before the start of the pandemic, with a share of only 20.2% of securities issued in 2019. He noted that local companies preferred the issuance of fixed income securities to shares of stock due to the liberalization of interest rate via a series of rate cuts and increasing liquidity by reducing reserve requirements. This makes it cheaper for companies to raise capital from the debt market rather than the equity market, said Monzon. So he added that IPOs are also not very attractive to investors now because prices of listed stocks have fallen and price to earnings ratios are very, very low, even for blue chip companies. That is true. Since medyo discounted, kumbaga, yung prices ng mga magagandang companies and like established na companies na, I think naglilin towards dun yung attention ng investors instead of yung IPO. But as I've said earlier, mukha namang attractive yung MerryMart, so why not buy some stocks of it? And yeah, if you look back like 10 years from now, kung na-achieve nila yung goal nila, I think, of course, tataas yung stock prices nila along the way. It would be very difficult for a company to undertake an IPO now because it will be competing with some well-established companies that have been in the market for so many years, so they will be more careful where the equity market is concerned. Thus, Monson said, we are not too optimistic that there will be many IPOs this year. Regarding the planned initial public offering of MerryMart Consumer Corporation, Monson said it will push through with listing its shares on June 15, although the PSEi had raised some concerns and required the firm to remove optimistic targets. So, Monson said we also required them to make a very, very prominent disclosure on the fact that a month before, the controlling shareholder subscribed to shares at 5 centavos and now it is being marketed at a target price of 1 peso. MerryMart, the grocery retail chain of Tycoon Edgar Injap Sia II, is pushing through with its planned 1.59 billion peso initial public offering despite the global economic turmoil caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. So the firm said it will set its final offering price on May 22, 2020, with the offering period running from May 27 to June 5 and tentative listing date on June 15, 2020. MerryMart is planning a primary offer of 1.59 billion pesos of its common shares at an indicative price of up to 1 peso per share. So I think siguro mga like 5k to 10k you can invest in this company. So yung net mo is like ano lang naman 5,000 or 10,000 pesos kasi piso lang, and di pa naman sure kung piso talaga yung price ng IPO nila. So we'll see in the coming weeks. So that's like 2 weeks from now. So to assure potential investors, MerryMart said it is in the COVID-19 pandemic resilient, non-discretionary basics. Nasabi na yun kanina. So MerryMart Group currently operates 7 branches. MerryMart has several branches that are ready to open as soon as a few weeks after the enhanced community quarantine is lifted, and will keep its target to open. Na-mention na rin kanina. The firm added that it is poised to secure more superior prime locations around the country and attract more good talents to join its team after the ECQ is lifted. Basically, na-repeat lang siya ng konti dito. But, syempre yung concerns nga. Raise yun palagi. And, yung about surprises nung IPO, ang baba nung unang sinabi nila, diba? Like, nasa 5 centavos lang. Then, ngayon minamarket siya at 1 peso. Weird. Anyway, attractive pa rin naman siya. And then, actually, that is gonna be the end of it. So, end natin episode here. Ito yung sources natin. So, for articles yan, lilink ko lang yan sa description sa baba para you can check them out. And then, syempre meron tayong quote of the day. But before yan, like and share nyo rin tong video para ma-reach yung ibang tao na interested dito. And syempre para makatulong din sa channel. Nakatulong din sa algorithm ng YouTube. So, reminder, every Tuesday and Thursday tayo nag-upload din yung episodes. So, don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell. So, yung quote natin is from Warren Buffett. Sabi niya, you cannot make a good deal with a bad person. So, friendly reminder lang to be mindful about people you associate with, you associate yourself with. So, be careful about that and be very picky. So, I think yung ba nagsabi nito? I think si Warren Buffett yung nagsabi na dapat yung lagi mo kasama or the people you hang out with, they're better than you. Kasi you learn from them. Diba? So, I think maganda mentality yun and maganda siyang i-practice. Because in that way, mas mabilis kang matututo and mas marami kang like masasagap sa kanila na like habits and strategies and like yung mentality ma-adapt mo yun. So guys, thanks again for watching and listening. Be safe and konti na lang well like lagi ko nasasabi yun na konti na lang may lift na ECQ blah blah blah, but let's just be patient and y'all be safe. Thanks again. Always remember, be Peso smart.